Good afternoon, and welcome to this May 12th edition of the East Ascension Drainage District Number 1 Board of Commissioners meeting. I think we have everyone except for Mr. Melanson. Mr. Arsenault, would you please do the honors of invocation? Thank you.
Lord, thank you for a great day in Ascension Parish. Thank you for the opportunity to serve the parish, and we pray that you would bless this meeting and our discussions and decisions. In your name we pray.
Amen.
Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Agenda item number 3 would be public comment. If you would like to speak on any item, you can fill out a red or green card to my left. Agenda item number 4, acceptance of meeting minutes from the April 7th, 2026 East Ascension Drainage Meeting. Motion, Mr. Cullen. Second, Mr. Francis. Any objection? Any questions? Hearing none. Good. All right, agenda item number 5, Chairman's Report Announcements. I just have an announcement. I really like that the parish is highlighting graduates, relatives of employees of the parish. I think it's a really good thing that you guys are doing. I've got a kick out of it today on social media, just going through and seeing, who's graduating, who they belong to. It's pretty good. So thank y'all for doing that. I really appreciate it.
Chair, I do have a comment if you don't mind.
Absolutely. Go ahead.
Just want to give a shout out to all our crews that were out in the storms this weekend, clearing culverts, replacing culverts, and saving people from flooding. So big shout out to those guys who were out there working hard while a lot of us were at home.
Yeah, and it's been a while since we've been tested in that level as these past 4 days. So thanks again. That's an excellent point. Agenda item 6A, general business. Approval of change order number 3 for the New River dredging project, adding 208 days to a contract time and increasing the contract value by an additional $374,301.69, bringing the new contract total to $5,242,911.69. And Mr. Vornado has a question.
Is there any, there's nobody to, awesome. All right. Does anybody know what the disparity originally was from, I think it was 750 or 760?
726, I believe was the number.
Yeah.
In 2026.
What was the big disparity? I mean, I was looking at it today and they just refigured the numbers?
So what we originally came up with was excavation quantities was the big item,
Yeah.
right? It went over. The way that came to light, there was a budget line item in the bid budget.
Mhm.
And as invoicing was coming in on that project, at no time did the contract ever go over budget. It was at the last invoice that the quantities of excavation went over somewhat, but not extravagant. And so at that point, we knew we needed a change order. We asked Boone Construction to present a change order, and that took several months. Leading up to the February 2026 meeting, it came in at over 700-something thousand. We were all blown away by that. Needless to say, it came to the board. The board tasked our engineer, Davis Cole. He's en route here. He's in traffic. However, tasked him to go back and look at how and is there a way to get this tightened up. The problem they had was they were supposed to have a pre and post survey of segments of construction. And somewhere along the lines of that happening, the post-construction surveys did not happen. Therefore, they had to resort to truck tickets. They had them, but they had to really get in the weeds and dissect and decipher through all that stuff. And then on the back end of the request of the board, Davis did that exercise and came back with a $300,000 number. Obviously, we do not feel like Boone is going to agree to that, hence the length of time that we're dealing with now. I'll refer to John Paul with the legal department, but we're being requested to process this and move forward and refer it over to register to court. But we need a vote in order to do that.
At this time, I would ask the Board of Commissioners if they would be, and they would vote with me to move this item past the drainage report, make it I guess, 7A and then take item, well, let's do that. Can we do 6A and vote to move to 7A to give the engineer time to get here?
Yeah.
Would you guys be
Do that.
opposed to that? Can I get a motion on that?
Motion.
Motion, Mr. Collins, second, Mr. Varnado. We will move item 6A and create, we'll call it 7A, to go after the drainage report to give him time to get here.
Okay.
And I believe item 6B, we will have to do the same thing because he's also
Yes.
here for that. So can I get a motion to move 6B to 7B? Motion Varnado, second, Mr. Cullen. All right. We are moving those items, and that will take us to item 6C, which is now 6A. Discussion of the Henderson Bayou Pump Station and Basin, and that will be led by our administration.
I got a little slideshow to put up here. All right, first and foremost, I want to thank the chair and the board for letting me do a little presentation here on Henderson Bayou Floodgate and Pump Station. What I did is I listed all the council individuals who were impacted in this basin on this item to just kind of highlight those individuals that deal with some of these issues. So we'll go to, let me see if I get this thing to work here. Here we go. So I'll give the public a little idea where the Henderson Bayou Pump Station Basin is and where the actual pump station is as well. This little star and highlighted on there. So here's our station. What you can see is we got our floodgates in the middle. We got two 500 CFS pumps on the right side of the photo with two individuals standing above them. And then, of course, the pumps themselves are housed in the shed-like area, and of course, our diesel tanks to the far right. To the left is where I want you to focus. That is where the levee extends off of the station. And so what we're going to propose here is where those semi-pump stations would be put in order to achieve a couple things, and we'll go over that in just a minute. All right, this is the land we already own around the station. So it gives you an idea. We've acquired a numerous amount of parcels, and we have a pretty good extensive footprint. From this photo, I'd like you to focus on that area at the where the levee extends, and you can notice the intake side. There's no trees there. All that's kind of been cleared. Although there is a heightened, that would be a possible intake area for additional pumps, and I'm going to show you why. So here's a little bit of the issue we have in Henderson. So as all of you know, the Corps of Engineers and the way that the pump station is designed, we start cavitating it at around 2. And so we're not supposed to turn the pumps on until it hits elevation 4. And what that does is that causes a lot of flash flooding and other issues. We are not able to pump down like we do at Marvin Brook or Sorrento Pump Station, which we create capacity before the event. So here's another bridge that water gets across and is elevated here on Joseph Ario and Burat Lateral. So what you see here is the event this past weekend. And when we decided to get right before it starts to turn into 4, we went ahead and closed up, and we turned on the two 500 CFS, so 1,000 CFS. As the storm was going on, you can tell the elevation continued to increase even though we had the pumps running full power. Okay, and that's an important thing to note. That's tricky because we did not create capacity at the station. We were battling the storm head on, and we could not catch up. It increased elevation as the storm and event went on, and therefore cresting at the dotted line. This is Marvin Brook. We have 7 1,000 CFS pumps. When we turn the pumps on, the elevation immediately starts to drop, as you can see in the photo. That creates capacity from that point on all the way upstream until it stops at the tilting weir and at the gate valves, which we can also open and then now pull down even further, creating additional capacity for rain events. This is the critical operation. This is the reason why Marvin Brook Basin is protected to this level. It's because of this ability. But we're only able to do it because of the amount of CFS we have at that station. And so that's the difference. So go back. It's raining. We cannot catch up. Marvin Road immediately pulls down, regardless of amount of rain, regardless of amount of flow to the station, it immediately does it. So that's the pumping capacity we have there. So what we would like to do, when we took a trip to Terrebonne to look at their satellite pump stations, because we're planning on doing some of these on our retention ponds, this one happened to be at one of their pump stations. So this is the pump station, this is the engine, this is the SCADA, everything's hooked up to this thing, and it's a mobile, obviously, because you can see the tires. And right behind that, in between those screens, you can see the pipe on the back side. And let's see how well the photo is. There we go. That's that same pipe close to the bottom of the photo. It is running on the side underneath the station, but on the side of the other pumps, of the other 4 pumps. And so it is an additional pump to pump down for capacity. As soon as Ron, Jade, and I saw this, we immediately turned to each other, started talking about Henderson Bayou Pump Station, immediately. This would be our solution to be able to pump down quicker. Now, they only have 1 pump here. I want to put several, okay, because obviously we don't have enough pumping power or power with capacity with CFS to keep up with storms. So we need more than just 1. We need several. And so here is the discharge. And so you can see the other 4 pumps, big pumps, but this one is turned on and it's on the side. And so that area on that, from the first photo where that grass levee was where we would punch through, and we would put these satellite type pumps in order to pump down to a greater capacity. Now, obviously, we need Corps approval to do that, but we would immediately start working on design and then go out for a permit and an amendment to the existing 4-foot level. So this would create capacity throughout the entire Henderson Basin if we had the ability to do that, like we do at Sorrento and like we do at Marvin Bro. And so what I would like to have for discussion is the council individuals who are experiencing these issues. What are your issues? What are you seeing? And do you believe in the need for us, the administration, to start pushing and not only moving for design, but also for budgeting for us to pay for this? This method is much, much cheaper than building an actual add-on station like we're doing at Sorrento, which is a $7 million plus project, maybe a little more than that. But that expansion and adding just 2 more pumps to Sorrento pump station is around a $7 million grant. So these are much cheaper, and we're able to do this project much faster. So just kind of wanted to go around and give you all an opportunity to talk about some of the challenges that y'all have in Henderson, and whether you support this idea of adding these satellite semi-temporarily pumps and changing our pumping procedure at Henderson Bayou. Ron, did I forget anything?
No, I think one comment I would add is what we learned at Terrebonne, piggybacking on that, is this station in this photo is really similar to some of our pumping stations. And it was like you said, we looked at each other and thought about Henderson. Well, it wasn't only just Henderson, it was like the same exact scenario at this station. They had the same problem with cavitations and levels and the need to move water. They know in operations they should be moving water, but the capabilities of their stations limited them to be able to do that, and they needed a different application. And so what they've come to find out is once they made this modification, that became their frontline pump, and you use your infrastructure in the big horsepower when you're in the battle, so to say. So you need to move water when you need to move it, and currently we're limited. And we see the ability to improve that drastically. And it's only going to get more demanding in the future as developments keep coming. So I certainly support looking into that for sure.
Thank you, I appreciate it. Mr. Francis, you go ahead.
So I'd like to comment that this is an ongoing issue, especially in District 11. I did earlier yesterday send a statement from a homeowner in Villa Galvez subdivision. His name is Jake Babin. He flooded in 2021 on July 3rd when we received 7 inches of rain in a single event. When His property flooded, the Henderson Bayou area reached 3.68 feet, and not being able to turn the pumps on until 4 feet leaves a discrepancy that needs to be solved, and I appreciate this option as a temporary fix while we look at a more permanent one. It directly affects at least these two homeowners, but obviously the Henderson Bayou Basin affects many more districts than just this one.
Mr. Hillingsbeck?
Yeah, I fully support this. Like, my neighborhood goes back Bayou, and then one end goes to Henderson Bayou. And you could tell it's definitely needed. Just to be able to draw down and give capacity would be awesome. I think some of them guys were out there Friday cleaning out the ditch. People were throwing chunks of concrete in the ditch, and then they wonder why it don't drain. Thank you.
Mr. Varnado?
Yeah, I fully support this 100%. You had me at Henderson Bayou. You know, yeah, we just don't have capacity. Henderson Bayou just the other day when we got home, I mean, it was at the top of the banks, and I'm probably 2 houses from the bank itself. So there's a house probably within 50 feet of the banks down my road. Our house flooded in 16. So yeah, this is definitely a 100% plus for me. Yeah, I support it 100%.
Mr. Joseph?
Yeah, I don't have no supporting it. I just want to ask you a question. Are we looking at Panama Canal and putting something like this here temporary, just in case in the future? I know we was talking about putting a pumping station or something out there, but would this have some type of play temporary?
It won't help it because the entire system's gravity. Until you wall it off, it's either you become dependent on pumps or not. And so until a structure is built, the way we have Henderson, the structure's already built, the levees are already built, they're already permitted. So until the Sorrento Surge Protection Project gets put in place, and you know, we have that coming on 100% design. Now it's looking for construction funds. Until that's in place, we can't cut off the canal because we'll end up, we just don't have enough pumping capacity with these type of pumps. We have to build an actual station there.
Okay.
Mr. Varnado?
What's the cost comparison between the two, and the how long can you keep, you know, these in service and have to, you know, swap them out, or, you know, heavy maintenance and all that kind of stuff? You know?
Yeah, I think the service is indefinite. And the reason why I say temporary is because you want to really put some large type pumps there in replacement of this. But they could stay there indefinitely. But I'd envision at some point in time an actual full station being built on that other side that can go ahead and accommodate these and take these out. Maybe we move them somewhere else.
Yeah.
That's the ability of having them as you see them, as the ability to move them around. Quite the setup, though, as you can see in the photos, going under stations and doing all that. I mean, you're talking about a couple million, 3 million for 3 to 4 of these. But we'll have those estimates a little closer in the design. And of course, we'll have to come to y'all for those, initiating those contracts for those designs to get started on them.
I think one other comment, Chair, if I may, is maybe looking at a universal use of these pumps, right? We might be thinking Henderson now, but let's think forward in the fact that we might need 3 here, well, let's get 4. And if one goes down, we just unhook and mobilize that other one out and put a new one in, and vice versa. You may come up with an application somewhere else. But we're starting to try to really think forward on our infrastructure and use common specifications so that we can change from one pump station site to another. Looking at the regional detention type areas, how can we universally use these projects to work with one another? So just thinking on redundancy. Another note would be the projects also in the Henderson Basin that we're currently working on. We didn't touch on that yet, but Henderson Bayou's got some drainage improvements. We got a statewide flood control grant on that. We're in design. So there's a lot of improvements coming to Henderson that work in conjunction with this as well. And then the Villa Galvez or the Sides Bayou project is with legal right now for review, so some improvements out that way. So looking at the whole basin, I think there's a much bigger picture than just the pumps, but we're really looking at that area as some improvements come our way.
And I also wanted to note the danger of Henderson is that there's only 2 pumps. You lose one, you're at half capacity immediately, and currently they don't hold up. They don't, they've been both of them running, they can't catch up with a storm like we had this weekend. So imagine if one goes down, we could be real trouble. Adding these additional has insurance for us. It's the reason why we added the 2 extra pumps at Marvin Road to 7, because we might be repairing one, we still got 6 to rely on and so forth. If 2 go down, we still got 5. Henderson, 1 goes down, we're in trouble. And so these extra pumps will give us that level of insurance that just in case that happens, we have extra pumping capacity right there at the station.
I've got 2 more, but I want to ask a question while we're here. When we're talking about budgeting and grants, I know the absence of brick grants or the cancellation of that earlier kind of smoked us on the New River stuff. What are your, just ballparking from this stage and maybe a 30,000 foot view, what grants, are we looking at state, possible federal funding for this type of thing, or is this something we're going to have to find and raise within our own budget?
So, you know, I mentioned to several of y'all that we needed to start self-funding some projects because or one project that has moved the fastest with federal funding has been our Sorrento Pump Station expansion. It has been 10 years since that money was now money was allocated, it just took that long to get the money allocated. But it was from the 2016 flood. We have yet to start construction. Federal money is, and I'm not about slow money, I'm talking about snail pace money. I'm talking about it is frustrating to no end on the amount of hoops and hurdles that you got to go through for federal money. I'm looking at capital outlay, I'm looking at quick money, I'm looking at Go Mesa money, I'm looking at self-funding a project like this, to be honest. But if it's not quick money, and certainly not federal, we can just add 10 years to this project, which is, we can't wait 10 years. We can wait, I mean, I would love to start next year. I'd love to design this year and start next year. So I think we should budget to self-fund, but let's see if we can grab some capital outlay dollars. Let's see if we can get some quick money that doesn't have all the federal strings attached and all the hoops and hurdles. And so I think that's the best bet. But let's go ahead and self-fund budget this. And if we can get a quick grant, then great. We save that money, we move it somewhere else to another project. But only state money or Go Mesa money. I wouldn't deal with anything else.
No, and I appreciate it. For the sake of the other commissioners, I want to, we know what we're getting into, right? It's nothing magic. We're going to have to find something in the budget and make it work. So, Commissioner Arsenault, you had a question?
Yes, 2 questions. Educate me, please. Why can't we start pumping earlier there? And then 2, what's the volume of one of these as compared to one of the big pumps? How many of these would equal one of our big pumps?
So I would probably say, Ron, would you think 300 CFS maybe each or even 200?
Yeah, you're probably looking at 100 CFS each. I mean, we got 300 at Sorrento and they 42-inch pumps. So, I mean, it would take probably 4 pumps, portable pumps, to equal one of the pumps at Henderson on a portable scale. Because you have 500 CFS there, it would take at least 4 pumps to equal one of the big pumps. You asked a question about why you can't pump a little earlier. What we have, when they constructed that, it was permitted as a floodgate and a pump station. So one of the primary purposes of Henderson Bayou is to prevent backwater from coming in with that floodgate. The pumps were designed to hold the internal elevations at around a +2, which is your normal pool. The problem with the construction of the station is that the depth in front of the station is only 5 to 7 foot, and there's concrete matting down there. And when you start pumping, the pumps are so shallow that they start cavitating and sucking air.
Understood.
So you need at least 4 foot of water over the impellers of the pump so that they don't suck air when they pump. So they're not a variable speed. They're either locked in and pumping or they're not. And so that's the problem. You don't have enough depth there in reservoir, and you need a smaller equation or setup pump that'll allow for a constant flow at a much shorter depth.
And we're moving to variable speed pumps.
Yes.
And we're moving to those instead of, unlike these 2.
And how many of these portables do we think?
I mean, at least 4.
least that, I would say.
You would want to try to equal one pump. Like, so if one goes down, we haven't lost, we're still at 100% pumping capacity. So you would try to get to that 500 CFS with this addition. But remember, so if we get permission, we would go ahead and start pumping down for capacity before it rains. Let's say it's elevated. And so we got rain on Friday, we would try to pull that down for Saturday's rain and, you know, these extended rain events. So if it's already elevated, well, we would pull down without it raining. So that gives you a lot of head pressure upstream, and so, and it provides the capacity. We do that at Marvinborough and Sorrento, obviously. Sorrento is kept at a negative elevation all the time by SCADA. So anytime it rises above a certain level, it kicks on automatically. We would hope to set up a similar system here.
Thank you.
All right, is everyone satisfied with this item? Yeah. Good. What we're going to do is move on to agenda item number 7, and then we'll go back to 7A and 7B, which have to do with the New River project. So, Mr. Jade, are you giving us a report?
Good evening, Board. Thank you for having me. This report here, I've tried to change it up a little bit to give y'all kind of an idea year to year what we do within certain time periods. So this report is based on starting with a 0 total of work orders in 2026 to give you an idea of what we get in a monthly time frame, what we're able to do, what we have residual, and then you'll get the total of what we ended last year with 980 residual versus what we have now. So drainage first quarter completed work orders total 237. So we had 12 in major drainage, which is your large projects. Culvert maintenance 99. This disseminates pretty much from our inspection processes that we put in place last year, which has been an awesome project. I've seen this in the flood events where we've identified a lot of areas where we opened them up before these events, and we continue to do that. So it's been a great project. Surveying 35, which supports our in-house staff. Minor drainage, which is your culvert replacements, your roadside digging, your minor off-road. 91, totaling 237. This is from January 1st to April 30th. So, 57 in the month of drainage, month of January completed, 52 in February, 66 in March, 62 in April. So it's 50 to 60 average a month for the total of 237 in drainage. So this here is your open work orders. Go back to my end of the year report. Some of you may remember your largest volume is digging off-road and roadside ditches. We do inspect this, so we may have that work order on it, but it may be more of a maintenance item dig. So that's why you'll see the off-road or the on-road and sometimes gain the volume versus your sinkhole repairs, your erosion repairs, your things that really affect that individual. So total amount of open 26 in January, 44 February, 60 in March, 76 in April. We're really ramping up right now with work orders at different weather events. So first quarter vegetation, and focus on this, I'll say this first. Remember, when you get vegetation work orders at the first of the year, we convert into running cycles. So a lot of your work orders that you get, when you get a big number, you see 300-400 work orders, that's all getting done within your cycles. So these work orders will get canceled out as soon as they get hit in the cycle. So completed work orders were 347 from January to April. You can see here our open is 111. The majority is, go back to your cycles, your state roads. That's actually an internal work order. So we make work orders internally. So it's not a residential work order. And then obviously your cut-off road is the largest for us when we hold them back because of weather events, cutting on road, the safety areas. The off-road will get put as a secondary as long as, until sun is shining and on-road is secure, then we will get off-road. And then we try to process a lot of that during the fall and winter, where we can focus on those on-roads to keep these ditches open and for the safety of traffic. And so open work orders, residual, 5 in January, 40 in February, March 19, 47. You see the 111. The 111 goes back to what I was telling you. They will ramp up right now because the first guy's very happy we got to him, and the last guy in the cycle is putting in a work order. So that's where you see those numbers. Just a little shot to remind guys, when you see a work order and you see numbers of those totals, look at that drainage photo there, what it takes to do that job. That's not a 15, 20-minute work order. So that's why you see that average 50, 60 work orders a week. Some of these jobs are 3, 4 days, some are a week. We do have some that are 1 day. That's mainly in your culverts, blowing out culverts, things like that. That's where we can hit 5, 6 to 10 culverts a day. But this is a lot of labor-intensive work. Takes a lot to move equipment, things like that. So that's kind of why I showed that picture. And this is our wonderful vegetation staff doing some nice off-road mowing. So in summary, remember what I told you about that 20 days a month affecting our work? We had 10 recorded pumping events. 2 of those events also included tractor pumping. So that was very much major events, which is what you just went through. 65 after-hour call-outs, which are your weekend and nights, could be trees, road closures, anything that we would be called out to assist with the public. Requested, total of 443 in drainage since January 1st. 237 of those are closed out. Vegetation, 458, 347 closed to date. Total work orders of 317 open between the two. And the total amount, we ended the year with 980 open work orders, totaling what we have in residual at the moment, plus what was open is 1,246. It is a drop in about 150 work orders, so we are progressing positively to lower that number. But I thought it was important to show how that works and how we gain work orders and how things affect our work and the work we are to people. Thank y'all for supporting the pump station idea. That is huge, very huge. For a guy who operates that and my staff, those pre-pump downs are so important. That is the lifesaver. So thank y'all for that. That's a great move.
Is there
quick-
formal action that needs to be taken towards that?
Say that again?
Is there any formal action that needs to be taken towards what was 6C, which is now 6A?
No, we'll start developing the plan moving
Okay.
forward, and we will come to you with the contracts for approval and things like that nature.
Very well, thank you.
You could give them the money.
Jade, I know in the past, I think Mr. Varno's got a question as well after me, but in the past, we had, you and I spoke of this at length over time. When we have the issues with the hands-off between someone calls a vegetation, but it's a drainage, or someone calls a drainage, but it's a vegetation, have we done anything to try to improve that handoff to make sure that we don't have anything falling through the cracks when that transition has to occur?
Yes, we have. But look, just this week, I'll tell you guys, we're working on our new work order system. And this is the first day sitting down with the company. That was the topic right there.
Great.
How do we ensure that these work orders are hitting the right person, but also the workflow process? So we're really tailoring and really hammering down on that process to ensure so that we can get these quickly. But yes, absolutely.
I appreciate that. Thank you. Mr. Varno?
I just want to say I appreciate what y'all do. I've noticed just driving down the road and whatnot, how often that the different ditches and stuff gets cut and vegetation, and it's in rotation. We get calls about it, of course, all of us do, but we're able to educate the public and help push that issue to not have to put in work orders as much because there is a rotation cycle, seems to be working pretty well. So again, I definitely appreciate it.
Yeah, look, I take the opportunity to congratulate that staff. In my tenure in this position, this is the first time we've completed an on-road cycle before June. So we've actually completed our first cycle, and we're working on our second. That's on-road. So we're 3/4 of the way on state highways right now. So we're moving in the right direction.
Thank you, sir.
Thank
Mr.
you.
Hillingsbeck, oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, I just wanted to note that Jade's done a great job with his team, starting out early, and getting a lot of grass cut prior to our growth season. Do need to be prepared, so as we get into June and July, our work orders will ramp up to a astounding number. We will then start to have to go for overtime, especially if we continue to be as wet as we have been in the past couple of months. That delays us from getting off-road. So when it starts to get a dry period, we may have to initiate overtime to get a lot more grass cutting during these periods of dry weather. So just need to be
Understood.
prepared for that.
Thank you. Mr. Hillingsbeck?
You said that new company, because I tried to put in 2 work orders day before yesterday or Friday, and it wouldn't work. Is that why it wasn't working, or
No, sir.
no?
No, sir. We're still on the old system. We're just in the first phases of development of workflows and getting that built to see what the product is.
Yeah, it
But no,
wouldn't
we're
let me
still
put
in
'em
the
in.
old system.
All
So,
right, thank you. I appreciate it.
thank y'all.
All right, guys, moving on to the moved items. We'll call it 7A. Approval of change order number 3 of the New River Dredging Project, adding 208 days to the contract time and increasing the contract value by an additional $374,301.69, bringing the new contract total to $5,242,911.69.
I'll make a motion to approve. Is our representative here?
Mr. Cole, would you like to? I do have one motion on this item, and we will listen to,
Hi, I'm Davis Coles, the engineer for the project.
yes, sir. Any questions for Mr. Cole, guys? Mr. Varnado?
I just got a kind of just generic question. I'll make a motion to approve, but I noticed in one of the, I don't remember what it was. It was the dams. It originally was budgeted for 1, and I think there was 10 actually, or something like
total,
that,
yes.
if I'm not mistaken. What type of, I mean, is that like shoring stuff?
Those were, they elected to use aqua dams so that they were able to take them out and
And
put
they had
them
to,
back
yeah, okay.
in a short amount of time. In 2022, I don't know if you remember, we had an abnormal amount of severe rain events that kind of plagued the project.
Yeah,
So-
gotcha. That's all. Thank you.
Any other questions? Nothing. Ms. Alonso has a second. Do I hear any objection? And no questions? All right, hearing none.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. Item 7B, approval of substantial completion of the New River Dredging Project. On the motion, Mr. Hillingsbeck. Second, Ms. Alonso. Any objection? Any questions? Hearing none. Motion to adjourn, Mr. Hillingsbeck, second. Mr. Cullen, we are adjourned.